There is something about it, something that cannot be manufactured. When an older man speaks and his words land, they do not land louder, they do not land smoother, but they land deeper. There is a weight behind them, a gravity, a steadiness that younger voices have not yet earned. And when that kind of man looks at you and tells you something true, it does not merely brush your ears. It reaches your bones. It settles in your chest like a truth you always carried but never heard spoken aloud. If this is the kind of message that makes you pause, that makes you reflect, that stirs something you cannot quite name, then stay here. Subscribe to this space because what we speak about here is not surface. It is foundation. It is depth. It is truth. Now listen closely. Not every compliment carries the same weight. Some words are tossed like confetti, light, careless, scattered. They mean nothing. They evaporate before they ever settle. They are crafted to impress, not to honor. But other words are placed like stones, intentional, measured, deliberate. And those words remain long after the voice disappears, long after the room clears. They stay with you. They live inside you. There is a difference between a boy who says you look good and a man who says you carry yourself well. One speaks to the surface, the other speaks to the structure, the invisible architecture you built when no one was watching, when no one applauded, when the lights were off and the crowd was gone. That is what an older man notices, not the performance, but the scaffolding. Let us begin. The first compliment that feels different from an older man is this: you are not like most people. Listen carefully. When a younger man says this, it often means you surprised him. You stepped outside the narrow box his limited experience created. You exceeded the small frame he had in mind. That is not depth, that is exposure. But when an older man says it, he has seen thousands of faces. He has watched patterns repeat across decades. He has witnessed masks, performances, people pretending to be what they are not. He has seen people collapse under pressure. He has seen people lie when telling the truth would have been easier. So when he tells you that you are not like most people, he means it. He has the catalog. He has the reference points. He has the years of evidence. And he is telling you that something about you disrupted the pattern, that your presence did not echo the noise. That is not flattery, that is recognition. And recognition from a man who has lived long enough to see everything twice, that is rare. That is sacred. Hold it close. The second compliment: you do not need to prove anything. This one will shake you because you have been proving yourself your entire life. To family, to your workplace, to friends who kept score, to people who never even asked, but somehow made you feel like you owed them evidence of your worth. You have been performing, achieving, explaining, justifying your existence every single day, without rest, without applause. And then a man with silver at his temples, steady eyes, and decades behind him looks at you and says, "You do not need to prove anything." And something inside you breaks open, not because he granted you permission, but because he saw what you were doing to yourself. He saw the weight, the invisible labor, the quiet exhaustion of a woman constantly earning her right to exist, her right to take up space, her right to breathe without apology. And he said, "Stop," not with force, with truth. That kind of compliment does not make you feel beautiful. It makes you feel free. It makes you feel seen in a way that almost frightens you, because you forgot what it was like to be witnessed without performing first. The third one: you remind me of someone I deeply respect. This is not comparison. This is alignment. This is lineage. When an older man says this, he is linking you to a woman who shaped him. Perhaps his mother, perhaps a mentor, perhaps a teacher. A woman who could walk into a room and shift its temperature. A woman who altered the direction of his life without ever raising her voice. And when he sees that quality in you, he is not being sentimental. He is being precise. He is telling you that you carry something timeless, something he has only seen in women who mattered, women who left marks, not on skin, but on character, not on paper, but on souls. That compliment is an inheritance. Accept it. Let it rest on your shoulders like a mantle, because it was not handed out lightly. It was earned by the woman before you, and now it is being passed to you. The fourth: you are the calmest person in this room. Let me tell you why this one cuts deeper than you expect. because the world rewards noise. It rewards reaction. It celebrates the loudest voice and the quickest reply. It applauds chaos dressed up as passion. It confuses drama with strength. But an older man understands something different. He knows that power is not volume. Power is stillness. Power is the woman who does not flinch, who does not rush, who does not react from emotion alone. The woman who allows chaos to spin around her and remains exactly where she stands, unmoved, unshaken, present. When a seasoned man notices your calm, he is not commenting on your mood. He is not saying you seem relaxed. He is honoring your discipline, your warfare, because calm is not passive. Calm is a decision. Calm is warfare without casualties. Calm is dominance without destruction. And he sees that. He respects it because he knows how many years it takes, how many storms it costs to master that kind of silence. And you have mastered it, even if you have not fully realized it yet. The fifth compliment: you are going to be fine. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but context is everything. When you are unraveling, when nothing adds up, when the ground beneath your feet feels like sand and every plan you carefully built has collapsed into dust, when the future looks like a blank wall with no doors. And an older man who has survived his own catastrophes, who has buried dreams and rebuilt from rubble, who has lost things he will never put into words, looks at you and says, "You are going to be fine." That is not optimism. That is testimony. He is not guessing. He is remembering. He walked through fire and he is still standing. He walked through loss and he is still whole. And he recognizes in you the same thing that carried him through: a refusal to quit, a stubbornness that looks soft but is forged from iron, wrapped in grace, coated in patience, but iron nonetheless. You are going to be fine. From a man like that is not a wish. It is a verdict. It is a prophecy spoken by someone who earned the right to speak prophecy. Believe him. The sixth compliment: you do not tolerate nonsense, and I admire that. This one matters more than you realize, because so many women are trained to be agreeable, to smooth everything over, to keep peace even when it costs them, to smile while they are burning, to nod when they disagree, to shrink when they should stand. And when you stop doing that, when you finally stop, some people label you difficult, cold, too much, intimidating, as if your strength is an inconvenience to their comfort. But an older man with real years behind him, with scars and lessons and decades of watching people ruin themselves by being too agreeable, sees it differently. He sees a woman who chose herself, not from arrogance, but from survival. He sees a woman who learned, the hard way, that boundaries are not walls, they are doors. And you decide who walks through and who remains outside. When that man says, "I admire that," he is not performing. He has nothing to gain, nothing to prove, no angle to work. He is simply telling the truth because the truth is all he has left to offer. And it is more than enough. It is everything. If this is resonating, if you feel something shifting in your chest, something warm, something ancient, something honest, then stay here. Subscribe. There is more waiting for you. You deserve words that speak to who you are becoming. Not just who you were, not just where you have been, but where you are headed. Now, the seventh compliment: whoever raised you did something right. This one can stop you in your tracks, because maybe you raised yourself. Maybe the people who were supposed to guide you were not there. Maybe the chairs at the table where your parents should have sat were empty. Maybe you built your own compass from broken pieces, conflicting maps, and sheer will. But when an older man says this, he is not praising your parents, he is praising the result, he is praising you. He is saying that somewhere in the chaos, somewhere in the wreckage, something took root, something good, something unshakable, something beautiful, and it grew despite the drought, despite the storms, despite the neglect, despite every reason it should not have survived. He is complimenting your fruit, not your soil. And for a woman who built herself from nothing, who mothered herself, fathered herself, became her own village, that means everything. It means someone sees the harvest, not just the hard ground. It means your labor was not invisible. It was not wasted. It was simply waiting for the right eyes, the right moment, the right witness. And he is that witness. Now the eighth, The final one, the one that lingers long after the conversation ends, long after his face fades, long after the room empties. You do not need me or anyone to tell you what you are worth. Read that slowly in your mind. Let every word settle. You do not need me or anyone to tell you what you are worth. When an older man says this, he is doing what most people never do. He is removing himself from your validation system. He is stepping down from any pedestal you might place him on. He is telling you that your worth does not live in the opinion of others, not in his eyes, not in anyone's gaze, not in applause, not in followers, not in love, not in desire. It lives inside you, self-contained, self-sourced, self-sustained, unshakable, unbreakable, already whole. That is the most powerful compliment a man can give a woman, because it does not attach, it does not create dependency, it does not build a cage out of praise, it does not chain you to his approval, it frees you completely, permanently. And it reminds you that the only voice that should define your value is your own, not louder, not softer, not filtered, yours. Now, let me say something to every woman hearing this right now, wherever you are, whatever you are carrying. You have been hungry for these words, not because you are weak, not because you are broken, not because you are incomplete, but because the world has been feeding you the wrong things for years. It fed you attention instead of respect. It fed you excitement instead of peace. It fed you followers instead of foundation. It fed you noise instead of truth. And now you are starving in the middle of abundance, surrounded by everything, nourished by nothing, because none of it was real sustenance. None of it fed your soul. None of it touched the part of you that truly needed to be touched. These compliments land differently, not merely because of who speaks them, not simply because of age or experience, but because of what they honor. They honor your stillness, your discipline, your backbone, your refusal to shrink, your ability to keep going when the world handed you every reason to stop, every excuse to quit, every permission to collapse, and you did not. They honor your architecture, not your appearance, your depth, not your surface, your roots, not your petals, your foundation, not your decoration. And that is what you have been waiting to hear. Not that you are beautiful. You already knew that. The mirror told you. The world told you. That was never the question. The question was, am I seen? Am I known? Am I valued for what lives beneath the surface? And the answer, from a man who has lived long enough to understand the difference between beauty and substance, is yes. You are seen. You are known. You are valued. Not for what you display, but for what you are. At the core, in the quiet, in the dark, when no one is watching. That is where your worth resides. And it is blinding. Do not dim it. Do not shrink it. Do not package it for someone else's comfort. Do not fold yourself into a smaller shape so smaller minds can understand you. Let it burn at its own pace, in its own way, on its own terms. The right people will recognize it. The right man will see it, not because he wants to possess it, not because he wants to control it, but because he has learned that some things are not meant to be owned. They are meant to be witnessed, honored, left wild, left free, left untamed. You are not searching for someone to complete you. You were never incomplete. You are searching for someone strong enough to stand beside you without needing you to be less, without needing you to be quieter, without needing you to dim your fire so his can appear brighter. That is the standard. That is the frequency. That is the baseline. And you will not find it by lowering your voice. You will not find it by abandoning your truth. You will find it by owning it. Every note, every silence, every scar, every lesson, every storm you survived, every night you endured, every tear you swallowed, every time you stood back up after the world knocked you down. You are not too much. You never were. Not once. Not ever. You were simply surrounded by people without the capacity to hold what you are. People too small for your magnitude, too shallow for your depth. But that era is closing. It is shutting behind you like a door you will never walk through again. And this next chapter, this season, belongs to you. Unfiltered, unedited, unafraid, unapologetic, uncontained. If this reached you, If these words felt like coming home, like medicine, like something you did not know you were missing, then subscribe. Share this with a woman who needs it tonight, a sister, a mother, a friend, even a stranger carrying weight she has never spoken aloud. Send it to her, then come back. Because this is where we build something different. Not louder, not faster, not flashier, but truer, deeper, real. And you deserve that. More than you know, more than anyone ever told you.